like cooking gloves.
Proctology.
Yeah.
I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to this agenda meeting where we will review the action items that we formally addressed on Tuesday evening, November 19th at 6 p.m. Should have moved this meeting outside, Bill.
It's a nice day.
Yeah, gorgeous, and we enjoy having each and every one of you. We'll call upon Mr. Burrow, our city manager, for the review of those action items. Bill?
Thank you, Mayor. Prior to getting into your agenda items, we do have Gary Troutman, President and CEO of the Greater Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce and Hot Springs Metro Partnership, here to deliver the Economic Development Report that he does each month. Gary, you want to come on up?
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate you much. I brought a strategic prop with me today. We'll talk about that later. But if y'all don't mind, I'd like Scott Deuce to give you a report on the Majestic first, and I'll come back with the rest of the report.
Thank you.
Scott.
Welcome, Scott.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So we're happy to report that the first prospect that we had told you all about last November that came into Hot Springs that was really excited about it, things had been moving slowly within their organization. They had had a lot of changes at the management level, just a lot of things going on. And he was back in town last Wednesday night. I was out of town for a work meeting, but the rest of the committee met with him, and he expressed his renewed commitment to the site and in trying to get a project done with us. They do have a new head of hospitality within their organization. He's only been on the ground 6 weeks, and so he wants to bring that person back to Hot Springs. But he is excited about it and really committed to doing a project here based on the feedback that he provided our committee last week. I had mentioned another out-of-state prospect to you a couple of months ago. That one has kind of fallen off. It doesn't seem that the interest is there anymore, but there is now another out-of-state prospect that has expressed interest in the site, and our committee is working to get them to town as well. So we feel really good about the direction that we're headed with this first one, and have another one, kind of waiting in the wings. To the renderings, we've been working on those for months. We've told you about those. We've provided our last feedback to the architect, where we feel like that's going to be, I think this is the 4th time we've sent them back. We really want these to be an accurate representation of our vision for the site. So we're trying to get, they can't be perfect, but we do want it to really capture that village concept that we've shared with you all. So we do feel like we'll have those in the next couple of weeks, and that those will be a final version that we're pretty pleased with. So when those are in, we'll be happy to share those and talk about how we put those out. But group's probably as excited as we've been in since the start, based on the meeting that we had last week with a very legitimate, qualified prospect. So be happy to answer any questions if there are.
Directors have any questions for Scott? Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. So, Scott, as far as the, I guess, renewed interest partner is concerned, is he picking back up kind of where he left off, or his group where they left off, as far as what they need to gather for data, for, potential return on investment numbers, and running their I guess, pre-development qualifiers? Is he picking up where he left off, or is he starting from scratch and having to redo everything over again?
No, our understanding is that he wants to bring this new hospitality CEO up to speed on the project, and let him kind of be involved in the decision-making process. But the one that we're talking to has the final say, as we understand it. I mean, he's the top guy in the organization, kind of the parent company. This is just one of their arms is the hospitality side, and he wants that person to be involved. But he has, he's told us that he's going to let him know his thoughts on Hot Springs, the potential project. And so we provided information probably 9 months ago at least on, hospitality, occupancy, tax collections, A&P tax. So we might update those for him, but no, we're not starting from scratch.
Thank you.
Any additional questions of Scott? Thank you.
Thank you all.
And thank you again for the opportunity. since we met last, well, actually, been a month and change since today is the 12th. But we were thrilled to announce Amazon, although they haven't had a big formal announcement, and they won't, because if you think about it, it's their busy time of the year. But they did invite us. We invited the mayor and Bill to join us. They said we will have a limited audience, and they were able to join us. I don't think I'm divulging too much to say that they intend to deliver 14,000 packages a day out of this location, and that is a TBD, whether that's a 30-mile radius or a 70-mile radius of Hot Springs, but incredibly efficient, incredibly automated. I think the mayor and Bill would back me up. You really couldn't make a mistake if you worked there. I mean, everything is just so triggered by codes and actually areas, little baskets that light up where packages go. We continue to work with Jones Mill. I hope to tell you more about that next month. Scott told you about the Majestic. Army-Navy, we actually got some good news there. We have, it's been 5.5 years. It's been challenges throughout. Dr. Porter's given so much, but we have got 2 groups, both out of state, that really have interest in the site, and both are in connection with the state. The state, I'll remind you that Governor Hutchinson, just wanted to punt on that thing as quickly as possible. Governor Sanders has done a 180, so we had to kind of regroup midstream and change our tune. But there are 2 significant groups working, and one that we're particularly impressed by. I got to attend the ACT Workforce Summit in Atlanta with 280 attendees. You can imagine being nothing but workforce, which is our passion. That was something we really enjoyed. Gary Jackson attended the Be Pro, Be Proud workforce meeting in Little Rock and hosted our Metro Partnership Chamber Golf Tournament, which will allow us to give 7 CTE scholarships to our local schools. I had a meeting with a company. I want to tell you a little bit about this concept, and I'll tell you more later. But while I was in Atlanta, I had a Zoom with this company in Dallas called Forge Now. And it is a 7-week intensive, immersive school for HVAC, electrical, things of that nature. I think they have 6 or 7 disciplines. But it's 7 weeks. It's a flat rate, $12,000 tuition. They provide housing, boarding, if you are, say from Hot Springs or Arkansas and going down there for the school. I'm not going to tell you that you come out ready to, be a journeyman electrician, but you're not awkward on a job site. You can be helpful. Alec Mouton turned us on to him. He's actually put 3 of his workers through the school. So it's something we're investigating more about, and certainly attractive in the workforce arena. I got to attend the U.S. Chamber Board of Regents Board of Trustee meeting and present on what we're doing in Hot Springs, the only community in the country that got to present there to the U.S. Chamber Board and Regents. So I hope y'all will share in our excitement about that. We're back in the schools. In fact, we hustled to get here. We've been to 8th grade at Lake Hamilton, 10th grade at Hot Springs. Today we did 12th and then the 7th and 8th grade at Fountain Lake, and we're at Cutter on Thursday. Gary had a presentation to the Alberta, Canada Economic Development Organization about what we're doing here in workforce, and they're continuing to be working together. And he held a career training meeting with our local career counselors to address our local workforce needs. As far as other general information, and bear with me, October is a busy month. Cole, Cheryl, and Vicki attended the Pike County VIP tour of Murfreesboro and Glenwood as we work to build relationships with our regional workforce folks there. I think you all are excited, especially if you've lived here a while. Cajun Boilers is reopened. Been there a few times already, and it's spectacular. Cole continues to participate in the Arkansas broadband calls, and he's planned Economic Day for both youth and adults that we'll be hosting here in a couple weeks at the Chamber. He worked with Preserve Arkansas Director Rachel Patton about updates to the state historic tax credit. We continue to meet with our colleagues in Arkadelphia, the Village, and Malvern, and we have another meeting coming up this Friday. I don't usually talk to you about ribbon cuttings, but the Hamilton is nothing short of amazing. If you haven't been there, it is an apartment complex on steroids. You know when you pull up and you see 10 bigger than life, bigger than horses, horse statues on the property. Just simply amazing. The pool area, everything about it is just first rate. Had hosted the elected officials appreciation breakfast with 76 attendees. Appreciate those of you who made it, and Congressman Westrum was able to join us. Les Warren led our second Garland County Education Council meeting of this semester with all our state representatives and Dr. Durden from the college. Vince, Jared Zeiser, our chamber chair, and I met with Dr. Trey Berry from Henderson about their interest in initiatives in Hot Springs. I think they're going to pick up where it had been in the past and kind of has been sitting on hold for the last couple of years with Henderson's challenges. But Dr. Berry's a force of nature if you know him, so we're excited about that. Cole and Gary presented to the Diamond Lakes CPAs for their continuing ed credit on economic development. Along with Bill, attended the Arkansas Department of Parks, Tourism, and Heritage meeting and dinner at the DeSoto Club in the Village. That's a major coup for the Village to get to host that event and had all the directors there. We hosted our One Voice Political Summit at the library and had great information from Mayor McCabe, Bill, Judge Mahoney, Representative Warren, Kenny Hall from the State Chamber, and Cody from the Congressman Westerman's office. Just such good info. I wish we had videotaped it to share with you. Cole attended the Power Up Little Rock site event for site selectors. I believe they brought in 5 site selectors to speak to folks here in the state. Cole had an interview with Architectural Digest magazine about an upcoming article on the resurgence of spa towns. And we hosted, I know most of you, if not all of you were there, we hosted the Arkansas Highway Commissioners Luncheon, Highway Commissioners Appreciation Luncheon, the only one of its kind in the state with 115 attendees. And AY Magazine published the Future Focused Hot Springs article. We also had our section. We had site visits to urban development and trademark real estate. And want to congratulate the winners on Election Day, Director Holliday in particular. I know that was a long night, but it wound up being a great night. And if you haven't heard, there's a new burger place in town that just opened in the last few hours. I would highly recommend going by there. You might have a little line when you get there, though. And last but not least, Director Webb asked us a few weeks ago, he wanted to do something for, I think, middle class in general, but specifically younger folks who are looking, or older folks who are looking to buy a home and get their finances in order and that sort of thing. And we partnered, we're actually hosting an event at the Mahoney Building, which is where they hold Quorum Court at 5:30. But we're going to have folks, we're going to have Carol Bells, President of the Board of Realtors, Representative Warren from Hot Springs Title, Love Inman from First Security Bank talking about mortgage, qualifying for mortgage loans, Jared Zeiser, financial planning, Brooke Horvath on CPA, Tammy Passafume on CPA and finances there, Tammy Passafume on budgeting. And I sure hope I got everyone right, Director Webb. I might be one short. But I hope you all can join us. And if you don't come for any other reason, Taco Prano is serving dinner, so that alone would be worth the trip. Thank you, and I'm happy to. Who'd I forget?
There was one more. You did a good job of getting so many. Noelle Stevens.
Noelle Stevens from State
Insurance.
Farm. I'd be very upset if I had to tell her I did not mention her name. But yeah, just a myriad of everything from Carol telling you about the market to everyone getting you qualified and getting you in a home. So we hope to do that and do it well later tonight. And any questions? That you
Any
want?
questions of Gary? Hearing none? Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
All right, Mayor, we'll move into your November 19th meeting. Karen Scott, our Finance Director, will be giving her quarterly financial update under the City Manager's Report. We will have one proclamation, two proclamations actually. One of those is the mayor proclamation for the 2024 municipal election results. Then moving into your consent agenda section, consider Resolution R-24202, a resolution acknowledging receipt of the City of Hot Springs financial statements for September 2024. And Karen Scott, our finance manager, will discuss.
Thank you. Good evening. Monthly financial statements are issued to keep city management and constituents apprised of the financial condition of the City of Hot Springs. The September 2024 financial statements are linked to the board action report, and staff recommends acknowledging receipt of the September 2024 financial statements.
Any questions of Karen? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have consider Resolution R-24203, a resolution approving the Community Development Block Grant Program Year 2023 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report for submission to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and our Planning and Development Director, Kathy Selman, will present the item. Kathy?
Thank you. Good afternoon. City of Hot Springs was designated a Community Development Block Grant Entitlement Community by HUD in July of 2003. The city is required to submit a consolidated annual performance evaluation report, which HUD calls the CAPER, to HUD, providing an evaluation of the past CDBG program year. At a duly advertised meeting on November 7th, 2024, Hot Springs Community Development Advisory Committee considered the program year 2023 CAPER and voted 4-0 to recommend to the Board of Directors that this report be submitted to HUD. The program year 2023 CAPER was made available for public review and comment beginning on October 21st, 2024 and ending November 8th, 2024. No public comments were received. Any comments received or made at the Board of Directors meeting on November 19th will be included into the CAPER before it is submitted to HUD. The CAPER assesses the period from July 1st, 2023 through June 30 of 2024. The main focus of this report is a summary of accomplishments in the use of annual Community Development Block Grant Entitlement Funds, supporting various housing and community development priorities that are identified in the consolidated plan. The city made good use of available resources and conducted its activities in a manner designed to primarily benefit low and moderate income persons to fulfill the community development objectives stated in the city's consolidated plan and annual action plans. HUD requires all CDBG entitlement grantees to maintain a spend-down ratio of 1.5 or less. At the time of HUD's final test date on May 2nd, 2024, the city's ratio was a compliant 1.49. And this was a major accomplishment following the COVID years in which we had great difficulty connecting with people who wanted to work on the projects that the city was funding. So we had a huge expenditure of roughly $900,000 in 2023. Many of the city's low to moderate income areas surround the historic Hot Springs downtown area. CDBG and city efforts have focused on revitalizing the targeted area residential and mixed-use corridors surrounding downtown by improving pedestrian safety, multimodal transportation, providing enjoyable shared recreational and green spaces, and supporting home building efforts. Neighborhood revitalization efforts, including targeted infrastructure improvements, have made significant headway in fiscal year 2023 from past grant year projects representing those desired outcomes. When infrastructure improvements are made, including pedestrian safety and accessibility, drainage and stormwater management, and community resource improvements through parks or public space upgrades, the entire community benefits. Preventing the spread of COVID-19 and responding to continued effects of the pandemic remained a high priority of the CDBG program for the year, with significant funds and programmatic time spent addressing the needs of homeless, at risk of homelessness, and low to moderate income individuals related to COVID-19. Coordination with local homeless service providers has also further improved throughout the program year 2023 through staff participation and coordination with the local homeless coalition, Southwest Arkansas Partnership, and the statewide Continuum of Care Arkansas Balance of State. Staff have continued working with local homeless service providers to direct CDBG and local resources to aid their efforts, while the city made a huge leap in the quarantine shelter facility project that is known now as the Community Resource Center. And those are the highlights of the CAPER. There's a lot of demographic and other information in that report, and I hope you will enjoy reading it.
Any questions of Ms. Sullivan?
I have one, Mayor.
Director, trustee?
Trustee, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Kathy, any areas of concern there or any areas where we need improvement or anything like that? I know we'll get to see the report.
There are no programmatic areas of concern.
Okay.
We are good in terms of our spending. We are good in terms of identifying and funding eligible activities. And I can tell you that your Community Development Advisory Committee, again, deserves tremendous praise and credit for keeping a program targeted during the difficult years that we've had over the last 4 years. So
I agree. I want to commend them. They've done an outstanding job.
They really
Everything
have.
we've seen, so thank you.
Yep.
Any additional questions of Kathy? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is consider resolution R-24-204, resolution approving the purchase and installation of roofs on certain buildings located at 900 Whittington Avenue from Ketcher and Company pursuant to the TIPS Cooperative Purchase Program and authorizing a budget transfer. Public Works Director Ron Seabright will discuss the item. Ron?
Good evening. We've worked with Ketcher and Company in the past. They've done several roofs for us in the city, and they've done an excellent job. These two outbuildings that are at the 900 Whitting property will be used for storage of the Christmas decorations once they have to come down in January. And hopefully we're able to close on that property, so it's all contingent on closing on the property before we do any work over there. But we're hoping to be able to close on that by the end of the month and then get this project done by January, as we know that the Christmas decorations will have to come down and be stored at a different facility at this time.
Any questions of Ron? Director?
Yes, ma'am.
Holiday?
You said it was 2 outbuildings, so I'm familiar with the one for the Christmas decorations, but is it for the other similar structure, or what's the other?
It's the
structure?
2 combined greenhouses that are right there as you come in the driveway of the 900 Whitting property. Both of them need roof repairs,
Okay,
but we'll be using those 2 structures to store that material.
okay, thanks.
Director Webb?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. You mentioned installation of roofs, and I'm glad Director Holliday had that question because I was going to ask it too. But what was the total amount for the roofs, and then
It's,
where's the transfer coming from?
Transfers coming from, let's see, what is that? The
ARPA
ARPA restricted funds to the general fund, and it's $34,600.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is consider resolution R-24-205, a resolution extending a clinical management services agreement with Lakeside Walk-In Clinic, PLLC. Our Human Resources Director, Brooke Gilbert, will discuss this item as well as the next 4. Brooke?
Thank you, City Manager. The City of Hot Springs originally entered into an agreement with Lakeside Walk-In Clinic as a primary care clinic for the benefit of the City of Hot Springs eligible healthcare plans Participants on October 31, 2019. The Board of Directors passed Resolution Number 9920 on November 16, 2021, extending the agreement for an additional term that will expire in December of 2024. With this agreement, there is no additional billing and no out-of-pocket cost of our employees. The clinic has provided exceptional care as a primary care clinic for our employees. The utilization of this clinic has increased over the years, and our employees are able to get same-day care. ACA 1458-104 provides that the governing body of a city of the first class may, without soliciting bids, renew or extend the term of an existing contract. Pursuant to this state statute, staff is recommending renewing the existing contract with Lakeside Clinic through the end of 2027.
Very good. Any questions of Brooke? Thank you.
Next is Resolution R-24206, a resolution approving the dental and vision benefits plan annual renewal from Delta Dental of Arkansas. And again, Brooke.
Each year, Delta Dental submits an annual proposal for the city's dental and vision coverage. For 2025, there will be no change to the employee-paid vision and dental rates or benefits. Additionally, the administrative fee holds at $3.19 per employee per month, which is the same as it is for 2024. Staff recommends renewal for another year.
Any questions by directors? Thank you.
Next item is consider Resolution R-24207, a resolution approving the renewal of the group life insurance policies with MetLife.
The City of Hot Springs has contracted with MetLife since January 2009. Overall, the services provided have been satisfactory and no complaints have been received. Renewal rates for 2025 will remain the same as the 2024 rates. The Board of Directors is asked to consider a resolution to renew the agreement with MetLife at these rates that are guaranteed through December 31, 2025.
Any questions of Brooke on this item? Hearing none. Thank you.
Next, we'll consider Resolution R-24208, a resolution awarding a contract to Stevens Insurance LLC for professional insurance brokerage and consulting services. Brooke.
City of Hot Springs recently published HS 24052 requesting a submission of the Statement of Qualifications for brokerage services for employee benefits. The City of Hot Springs received 10 responses. All of those responses were evaluated, and the Statement of Qualifications from Stevens Insurance was the highest rated of those received. There is a 5% increase of the current annual fee due to inflation. That will raise it from $115,000 to $120,000. Based on the City of Hot Springs' previous partnership and experience with Stevens Insurance, staff recommends awarding the contract to Stevens Insurance for a 5-year term. A notice of intent to award this contract to Stevens Insurance was published and no protests were received. Our partners from Stevens Insurance are also here to assist with any questions that you may have.
Any questions of Brooke or Stevens? Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, Brooke, if we lock in a 5-year contract term, would this prevent any type of increase in the following years? You know, I do recall you saying that it did go up 5% due to inflation. If we were to lock in what it currently is, would that prevent any type of increase in the following year, say next year? Or do we know that?
I think there's an escalation clause in there, but it has to
There
be
is?
approved by both parties.
Okay.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Next, we have consider Resolution R-24209, a resolution authorizing an agreement with American National Insurance Company, Barden Insurance Group, for certain stop-loss coverage insurance services and for other purposes. Brooke?
As the third-party administrator for the City of Hot Springs, QualChoice annually conducts an evaluation and rating process for selection of professional insurance services pursuant to ACA 1911-801 through 1911-805 and HSC 261.4 for their self-funded clients. QualChoice requested proposals and reviewed the responses received from their preferred stop-loss carriers for the City of Hot Springs 2025 coverage. Barden Insurance Group's response was deemed the highest rated and most qualified of the responses received. QualChoice's recommendation is to accept Barden's renewal. Stevens Insurance LLC also supports QualChoice's recommendation.
Any questions of Brooke on this item? Thank you.
Next, we have considered Resolution R-24-210, a resolution approving an agreement with Christ Engineers, Inc. for professional engineering services for planning, design, and construction of the lead line inventory and replacement project in the amount of $281,250. Our project manager, Todd Pillar, will present.
Thank you and good afternoon. On August 6th, the board approved a couple ANRC loans. One was for $1,912,500 for 20 years at 0% interest. And the second loan was for $1,837,500 with principal forgiveness. So it's a total of about $3,750,000. And Chris will oversee the inventory, the infield investigations, construction, and inspection services that are required by the ANRC contract. And the contract is in your board packet for you to look at. And we'll concentrate on those items or services that were installed before 1988. Oh, I forgot my prop. So the city, in our standard specs, we don't allow lead and copper anymore from our mains to the service box. So we use Minisepex, which is plastic blue between the main and the meter box. But the problem is we don't know what the plumber does from the meter box to the house. And the EPA is requiring us to investigate all those connections between the meter box and the house. And this contract for Christ Engineers will be funded out of those ANRC loans.
Any questions?
I have one.
Director?
Have you had many calls since the notice was included on our water bills about the lead?
I have not, no, I have not.
Maybe they wouldn't call him, but we've got the little notice on the water bills now that says you might have lead in your pipes.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to do that by, I got it here in my notes, November 15th.
It was on my current
Yes.
bill. I wondered if many people had called, if they even look at their bill.
I think I'm aware of.
City manager's office has received none.
None? That's surprising to me.
Yeah.
Utility billing may have.
Thanks.
Todd, you made comment that you have to inspect at the meter box so you can maybe have some idea what's going from the meter box to the house. So if you do find in older neighborhoods the lead pipes from the meter box to the house, what happens?
They'll hydro excavate, and then we'll have to replace it with this.
Oh, that'll be the city's responsibility from the meter box to the house?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have a third-party contractor take care of all of our construction.
Okay. Any additional questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is consider resolution R-24-210. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. The visual got me off guard.
Show and tell.
Your first item under new business is consider resolution R-24-211, a resolution declaring a certain structure located at 120 Boaz Street a nuisance and condemning same pursuant to Title 17 of the Hot Springs Code. Our chief building official, Mike Scott, will present the item. Mike?
Thank you, sir. The City of Hot Springs proposes condemnation for the purpose of demolishing and clearing a vacant structure at 120 Boaz Street. This is a single-family dwelling that sustained significant damage due to a fire in April of this year. Property is owned by Mr. Willie Brown. Mr. Brown purchased the property from the previous owner in 2020 and was residing at the residence when the fire occurred. Mr. Brown obtained a demolition permit on July 9th and began removing the structure. However, on September 19th, he requested the city raise and remove the structure. He has filed the necessary consent for demolition. form with the planning department, which authorizes the city to raise and remove the structure. He is also aware that this action by the city will result in a lien for the cost of the demolition, and it will be filed at the city clerk in Garland County. Therefore, having inspected the structure and based on the requirements set forth in the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code Volume 2, as well as the Hot Springs Property Maintenance Code, the structure was deemed unsafe for habitation because of the extensive structural damage caused by the fire. Due to the inability of the property owner to make the repairs to stabilize, his subsequent request to have the city remove the structure, and having no reasonable alternative, we are recommending that the structure be raised and removed. The taxes are current at this location, and it is in District 2. The fire report has been attached, also inside the...
Any questions of Mike? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is consider resolution R 24-212, a resolution adopting a budget for the city of Hot Springs, Arkansas for the year 2025 and for other purposes. Mayor, I'll handle that item. As you know, the board sat through a work session regarding the budget for several hours, and I appreciate all the board's attention and input on that meeting. We are bringing you a positive, balanced budget. There were a few things that I had that some board members requested since that time. We were able to incorporate those into the budget, as well as continue to have a positive impact on the final budget process. Glad to answer any questions.
Any questions of Bill on the budget? We had a 4-hour work session and very, very thorough, every slide. How many slides were there?
I think there were 72, somewhere around in that neighborhood. How many was it?
I think it was 74.
74.
74 slides.
And in your packet, you will have a copy of the budget. We'll have breakdowns by department as well as by category, kind of a high-level look, but you'll be able to see all the costs from each one of the departments. Be glad to answer any questions on that either tonight or at the meeting.
Very good. Well, we look forward. I know you'll have a formal presentation on next Tuesday.
Yes, sir. And there'll be a budget message in your packet as well that explains the entire budget packet itself.
But it won't be a 4-hour presentation.
It will not be a 4-hour presentation. It'll be an abbreviated version of the board of the budget message.
Thank you. Any questions of Bill? Hearing none, we'll move on.
You'll have next is consider your first ordinance of the evening. It's ordinance O-2435, an ordinance waiving competitive bidding and approving the purchase of certain Headworks International Inc. bar screen parts from Instrument & Supply Inc. pursuant to ACA 1447-138, and Todd Pillar will present this item as well.
Thank you. This is our, just like we did for the Hot Springs Creek sewer lift station. We're taking the existing screen, send it to Texas, get it rebuilt and upgraded. And this screen, when Max Foot Construction puts it back in into the home plate or the Headworks, it will serve as a screen for the low weather or regular flow bar screen, or pump station now, and also for the wet weather pump station. So it's a total of $161,032.60, and it will be funded from one of our last projects to be funded from our 446, our wastewater bond, a board approved 2022 account.
Any questions of Todd on this item?
I will add, I was very concerned about pulling the screen from the Headworks.
Oh, I forgot. I sent you a photo. Yeah,
I got it. Max, you didn't bring a visual.
I should have.
But anyway,
I had to make me a bar screen so we can protect the pumps.
So Max Foot, that our current contractor building the wet weather pump station, was able to build us a temporary screen that'll fit, so it'll still protect the pumps at the current Gulf of Pump Station while the bar screen's out being repaired.
Correct.
Very good. Next item.
Your final item of the evening is another ordinance. It's ordinance O-2436, an ordinance adopting a zoning code for the city of Hot Springs, Arkansas under Title 16, Chapter 2 of the Hot Springs Code of Ordinances, repealing certain ordinances and for other purposes. And again, Kathy Selman, our Planning and Development Director.
Thank you. This is a huge project that your Planning Commission has been working on for more than 2 years. So it's exciting to be here to talk about this. Forward Hot Springs, our comprehensive plan, is the city's plan for prosperous lives in good neighborhoods and a great city. When we started our new comprehensive plan in 2019, we had a click poll survey and lots of people in the audience. And one of the first questions people told us that Hot Springs spends a lot of time looking back instead of ahead. And so at that point, we knew that the plan needed to take us forward. We started that in June of 2019 with a lot of activities, a lot of public engagement, with numerous opportunities for city residents, staff, stakeholders to participate in planning throughout that project of the comprehensive plan. But then COVID-19 happened. It abruptly shortened what we had in mind in terms of how to put together a comprehensive plan. Hot Springs Board of Directors adopted the new comprehensive plan in October of 2020. While that plan set certain goals and activities, the plan itself does not bind the current or any future Board of Directors, because implementing plan goals requires separate budget, policy, and ordinance decisions that would come after the adoption of the plan. And the Board of Directors, in their annual priorities for 2022, 23, and 24, identified formulating a new zoning code as being one of their top priorities. So this is the result of that. Code Forward is that new zoning code, and it represents hundreds of hours of public and private participants who generously shared their perceptions and ideas about how we can best move toward the Forward Hot Springs vision and objectives. Hot Springs Planning Commissioners LaDante Walker, Bill Vowell, Bill Lamont, Punisa Sharma, Janice Davis, Reverend Corey Scott, Rick Ramick, Garrett Collier, Ashley Campbell, and Chair Bart Stafford, as well as the planning commissioners who were involved from 2022 and 2023, really need to be recognized for their commitment. They looked at the pros and cons of so many various potential methods for achieving the plan's goals. Their discussions were informed, thorough, and they illustrated the many various perspectives of our community, making these complicated and difficult decisions. Code Forward will apply to development that is initiated after the effective date of the ordinance, replacing current zoning regulations and the current zoning map. So unless someone chooses to alter their property, this will mean no change to what is going on with them. It's probably a good time to talk about what zoning is. Zoning delineates areas which have uniform regulations that govern use, placement, spacing, and size of land and buildings. Each zone has a name and regulations for itself. Zones are mapped on the official zoning map. Planning Commission looked deeply into housing, future land uses, signs, and landscaping, to mention only a few items, and determined the need for more comprehensive study on some of these topics before recommending new approaches. Commission's study of alternative housing options, including manufactured homes, resulted in retaining the current code's manufactured home overlay method of identifying manufactured home sites. Consistent with both Forward Hot Springs and the Hot Springs Housing Strategy, planning commissioners stated their commitment to re-examining housing questions more during the upcoming year, hoping to make a recommendation to the Board of Directors when their study is complete. Now, we have been using the 1997 Future Land Use Plan Map terminologies to determine zones that best meet those stated characteristics. Forward Hot Springs, because of COVID shortening the whole deal, didn't update those terminologies and didn't update the Future Land Use Plan Map. Planning Commission intends to do that over the next year. Any discussion of non-residential design guidelines, which are included in this proposed zoning, eventually gets to the matter of signs, and Planning Commission presents no changes to sign requirements in Code Forward, but intends to more thoroughly review existing sign codes in the near future. Finally, with regard to landscaping, Code Forward continues the current landscape guidelines. But Planning Commission proposes a future partnership with the Urban Forestry Advisory Committee to consider landscape goals and requirements, again, during 2025. Some of the changes in Code Forward include new zone district names for all zones except CTR, commercial transitional. New residential districts are proposed. RN3 is a residential zone with very small lots, 3,000 square feet, that is intended to encourage small lot, single-family home development. RN4 transitions from purely single-family to other missing middle options. RN6 specifically enables townhouse and multifamily development. And RS, residential suburban, provides for a 20,000 square foot minimum lot size that filled a gap that existed before we went from a minimum lot size of 1 acre to a minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet, which was kind of a big jump. New non-residential zones are CMU, commercial mixed use, industrial mixed use, IMU, and INST, institutional, which is intended to allow for campus-type developments such as educational and medical complexes. PD, planned development zones, are being renamed to represent the essential nature of what's going on in them. Polka dots will overlay the new underlying zone name that is meant to more clearly describe their residential, non-residential, and mixed-use activities. General development standards are together in one chapter, intended to make things easier to use for our customers, our developers, and anybody who's looking to do something zoning-wise. A few new standards are here, again, directly related to Forward Hot Springs, related to exterior lighting. And this is something that was formerly consistently addressed in conditional use standards, but now generally applicable to development. Steep slope development, site disturbance, be limited to 18% of a lot, and shoreline setbacks along Lake Hamilton of 20 feet. While residential development parking standards are not changed, Code Forward recommends allowing non-residential developments to establish their own parking minimums based upon the needs of their specific business models. Businesses, especially franchises or national brands, already have specific parking requirements of their own. And financial institutions, we've learned, may also impose minimums to their clients. Non-residential design standards for new development essentially take the Malvern Avenue overlay practices that we have had in our current 2003 code and bring those citywide, consistent with Forward Hot Springs recommendations. The Code Forward effort aims to minimize nonconformities, and special care was taken to align new zone districts with existing on-site uses, if any. For example, if a permitted use existing at the time of ordinance approval should become conditional under the new code, that use is deemed approved rather than non-conforming. And finally, as future community priorities and goals change, so too may the zoning code change by way of amendments approved by the Board of Directors. And if you think about the number of amendments, ordinance amendments that you have approved over the past several years, you will know how true this is. If something isn't working, we have the opportunity to go in and come up with a better way to do it through an ordinance amendment. Planning Commission, at their duly advertised October 10th, 2024, regularly scheduled meeting, by their 9-0 vote, recommended that the Board of Directors adopt an ordinance deleting Hot Springs Code Title 16, Chapter 2 zoning, and adopting a new Title 16, Chapter 2 zoning, which you will find as Exhibit 1 in your packet. Recommendation also to adopt a new zoning map, which is in your packet. And they also formally recommended a 2025 work plan to implement those items that I mentioned previously with regard to housing, landscape, design standards for signs, and the future land use plan map for 2025.
Very good. Any questions of Ms. Selman?
Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Mayor, that completes the items for your November 19th meeting. I do want to let the board know that on December 3rd's meeting, you'll have your evaluations of city manager and city attorney. It will not be on the 19th, it'll be on your December 3rd meeting.
Very good. Any additional questions or comments from directors? Mr. Director Trustee.
Just wanted to clarify something that Gary Troutman mentioned. There were 3 directors elected last
correct.
Tuesday. Only one had an active race, but congratulations to Marcia Dobbs Smith, and she and I were both returned to our chairs for another 4 years. So
With 100% of the vote?
yes, it was unanimous.
The only 2.
You know, there is an undervote.
Yeah, I was going to say that. There is an undervote. So, but let's not rain on their parade. Thank you.
That's right.
As short as it was. All right. Very good. Well, we welcome all 3 of you back for 4 years. So, beginning January 1.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah. All right. There be no further business. We'll adjourn, and we'll see you all next Tuesday.
Very good.
Kathy?